Good morning, afternoon, or evening. My name is Jayson-ID-281-804, and this is my oral presentation for the ethics case assigned to me, case QCE-17015. This report examines the ethical violations committed by 2 Puerto Rico licensed engineers during the inspection and certification process of a residential construction project called Mi Sueño 2. Today, I will summarize the case, identify the involved parties, highlight the ethical issues, analyze the violations, and conclude with the lesson this case teaches about professional engineering practice. Summary of the case. This case originated from a complaint filed by homeowner Joel B. Martinez. The construction of the prefabricated homes involved several engineering services, preparing and submitting permits, performing periodic inspections, and certifying the work of OGPE. 2 engineers, Ingeniero Manuel Toledo Garcia, the project engineer, and Ingeniero Juan M. Curbelo Santiago, the designated inspector, were accused of serious ethical violations. The allegations focus on the inaccurate inspection reports, absence of direct communication with the client, and conflicts of interest tied to the relationship with the hardware store that sold the home. After evaluating the testimony and documents, CIAPR concluded that multiple ethical canons had been violated. Identification of parties. The complainant in this case is Mr. Joel Martinez, a postal worker and the homeowner. The respondents are 2 licensed engineers, Ingeniero Manuel Toledo Garcia, who acted as the project engineer and was responsible for the design, permitting, and the technical guidance. Ingeniero Juan Curbelo Santiago, who was contractually designated the project inspector. However, both roles became blurred, and both engineers failed to perform their duties independently. Additional entities played a role, including Ferreteria Ace Don Benja, which marketed the home and served as an intermediary, and OGPE, the permitting authority. Relevant facts. Construction began in 2014. 5 inspection reports were later submitted, all dated on the exact same day in 2015, even though they claim to reflect inspections from several different months. These reports were signed and sealed by Toledo, even though Curbelo was officially listed as the inspector responsible. Curbelo later certified the OGPEs that he was the one who performed the inspections, despite the documents showing that Toledo was the one who signed them. Another major issue was communication. The homeowner never met or spoke directly with Curbelo, and only had minimal contact with Toledo. All communication passed through the hardware store personnel, not through the engineers. The case also revealed a conflict of interest. Toledo appeared as an expert witness for the hardware store in a DACO complaint, even though he was also responsible for the homeowner's construction project. Interesting. Finally, key OGP regulations regarding inspectors and project engineers were not followed. Ethical canons violated. The CIAPR tribunal identified several canons that were violated. Canon 3, which requires truthfulness and objectivity in professional reports, was violated because both engineers certified information was not accurate. Inspections were signed on dates that did not match the site activities, and responsibilities were represented. Canon 4, which addresses conflicts of interest, was violated when Toledo represented the hardware store in DACO's case, while also serving as the homeowner's project engineer. Curbelo also failed to maintain independence in his inspector role. Canon 7, which protects the integrity and dignity of the profession, was violated because both engineers allowed a non-professional entity, the hardware store, to act as an intermediary for professional engineering services. Canon 10, which requires compliance with laws and regulations, was violated because OGPE rules clearly prohibit a project engineer from acting as an inspector on the same project. Analysis. When analyzing these violations, the central issue is a breakdown of professional responsibility. Inspection certifications must always reflect reality in this case. The documentation submitted of the OGPEs did not match the facts. Additionally, engineering must protect their independence and avoid situations that compromise their judgments. In this case, the involvement of the hardware store created confusion, reduced transparency, and undermined the client's trust. Most importantly, both engineers failed to maintain direct communication with their client. This alone is a serious ethical lapse and demonstrates a lack of respect for the professional relationship. Resolution. CIAPR concluded that both engineers violated canons 3, 4, 7, and 10. As a result, each engineer was sanctioned with a 6-month suspension from practice, required to complete a mandatory ethics course of at least 4 hours, and obligated to notify their clients and agencies of their disciplinary status. They were also required to return any unearned fees and demonstrate compliance within 30 days. These actions reflect the seriousness of violations involving inspection certifications and conflicts of interest. In conclusion, Case Q-CE-17015 demonstrates how ethical failures can occur when engineers do not maintain transparency, independence, and direct communication with their clients. The project engineer and the inspector allowed their responsibilities to be influenced by a hardware store, rather than serving the client who depended on them. The inaccurate inspection reports, the lack of communication, and the conflict of interest all represent clear breaches of engineering ethics. This case reinforces the importance of following ethical canons, and legal regulations at every stage of a project. Engineering is a profession built on trust, and once that trust is compromised, the integrity of the entire project is at risk. For these reasons, the tribunal decision and sanctions were appropriate. And the case serves as an important reminder of the standards every engineer must uphold.